Brace the rudders! Raise the sails! Raise the sails!
Captain, an unidentified ship is approaching. Over.
Roger. Wait, is that an Enterprise sales solution?
Reach sales professionals, not professional sailors. With LinkedIn ads, you can target the right people by industry, job title, and more. Start converting your B2B audience today. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started today at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Dripping in gold? That's cool. Dripping in Velveeta's supremely creamy golden cheesiness? That's respect. Elevate your drip with Velveeta's range of outrageously delicious dips and dishes. Shells, cheese, melty blocks, and heat and eat queso that go all in on indulgence. Flex on your fam with a creamy, cheesy masterpiece and go all in on what you love with Velveeta. Respect the drip and satisfy your cravings. Bring home the drip with Velveeta.
Let's go round again. It's Games Week, the 50th anniversary of the Winter Paralympics and the first one in Europe in 20 years. I'm John.
And I'm Michael, and we're back with the latest Milano Daily from Anything But Footy, talking about the Olympics and the Paralympics all the time, not just once, every 4 years.
We cross to Cortina to talk all things Paralympics GB.
My name's Phil Smith. I'm the chef de mission of the Paralympics GB team at the Milano Cortina Paralympic Winter Games.
So much to discuss there. Opening ceremony, medal ambitions, the return of Russia, and the latest geopolitical fallout before the Paralympic Games.
With the return of TNT, tomorrow's news today. And you've guessed it, the mixed doubles wheelchair curling starts before the opening ceremony.
Would you like to represent Great Britain? And it was like, yes, please, thank you very much. And that's a bit of a whirlwind, to be honest.
But being able to see that flag and knowing that you're representing your country, it's what we work for every day. We work really hard for a whole cycle.
We'll also round up the rest of the news from the Games.
This is Milano Daily from Anything But Footy. Download, listen, follow, pass it on to your friends, and fellow Paralympic fans will be here throughout the Games. Milano Cortina 2026 will be the first spread-out Winter Paralympics, and it marks the 50th anniversary of the winter movement as well. It couldn't be more different than when it started in Sweden in 1976. 200 skiers from 16 countries. Now, as many as 665 para-athletes from 50 national Paralympic committees will be gathering in Italy to compete in 79 medal events across 6 sports, not just skiing. And they'll be competing, of course, in Milan, Val di Fiemme and Cortina. Hosts Italy will send a delegation of about 25 athletes to the opening ceremony, composed mainly of its para-ice hockey team, and Great Britain are sending a 25-strong team to the Games in total, mainly based in Cortina, but across alpine skiing, snowboard, biathlon and wheelchair curling.
But like 4 years ago, the run-up to the Paralympic Games has been overshadowed by what is happening in the world. 4 years on from the invasion of Ukraine before the Beijing Games, the Russians and Belarusian athletes are back at the Paralympics, with Ukraine and some other European nations now saying they will boycott the opening ceremony, which takes place in Verona on Friday. And of course, this follows the weekend where we saw US and Israeli strikes on Iran and retaliation across the Middle East, once again breaking the United Nations-led Olympic truce that's supposed to cover the area or the time between the Olympics and the Paralympics, allowing athletes to compete freely. So lots to talk about then with Chef de Mission for Paralympics GB. Let's hear from him, Phil Smith.
We are raring to go. It is really exciting. We've got athletes in the village. We are about to kick off on a really exciting few days of competition. We loved as a team watching the Olympics, watching our Team GB colleagues absolutely putting in some amazing performances, inspiring the nation, and it's just so exciting that it's our time now.
Obviously, you will have been out there and done all your due diligence, all the prep work that we know goes into preparing the team. But when the athletes start arriving and when you get there and see all the branding, is that when it becomes very real to you?
Absolutely. There's those few days where it's just the team behind the team setting everything up, making the spaces ready. But the moment the athletes walk in, that does just change everything. The energy, the vibe around the whole place just goes up a number of notches. And you really get that sense of why we're doing what we're doing, and making sure that the Paralympics GB athletes have absolutely everything they need to be best prepared and go out and smash it on the ice and snow.
And the Milano Cortina organisers, Phil, have they done a good job in the process from switching from Olympics to Paralympics?
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. I think we were delighted when we came out at the very back end of the Olympics to do a handover with our Team GB colleagues and got a really, really positive feel about how the villages and the venues had worked. And then that time between Olympics and Paralympics, the organisers have done a fantastic job. You step into the village now, it's a Paralympic space, and it's one that all of our team are enjoying.
You mentioned about the success of Team GB and Paralympics GB. It's going to be slightly different because all of you are based in Cortina, while, of course, with the Olympics, it was more spread out. It's just that the sports that Paralympics GB are in are all in Cortina.
Yeah, we have one athlete from Nordic skiing who's in a separate village in Predazzo, which is about 2 hours away. The
Bless
rest
him.
of us, 24 of our 25 athletes, are in Cortina, and yeah, so that gives us a real different feel, a real different vibe around the place. We're not spread out. Cortina is very much the centre of the Paralympic Games. We are supporting Scott, our Nordic skier, and we'll be heading out there and making sure that he's got everything he needs as well. But really, yeah, Cortina is the focus of the games for us, and for everyone who saw the images of Cortina from the Olympics. It's a stunning venue. We're absolutely privileged to be here and have a Winter Paralympic Games in such an iconic winter venue.
I hope from Scott's point of view and knowing Scott a little bit that you've managed to identify a decent coffee shop.
Yeah, I saw him. Yes, I've seen him since we've been out here, and he has got his coffee. He is very much set up. He's ready to go. I think, like a lot of the Olympic teams, it's a smaller space out there, but that in many ways just gives a lot of comfort to Scott. He knows everyone who's around. The Nordic family is a close one. He's got his coffee. He's ready to go.
And you guys, opening ceremony on Friday. Are you ready to go? Are you marching? Are you sending a full delegation?
Well, about a year ago, the concept for the opening ceremony was confirmed by the organising committee here. And actually, like the closing ceremony of the Olympic Games, it's in Verona, which is about 4 hours away from Cortina, Predazzo. And so we made a decision a very long time ago, months and months ago, that we wouldn't be able to send athletes to the opening ceremony to march for pure performance reasons. Everyone here competes on day one, and we just physically can't get people there and back and allow them to prepare. And to be honest, the majority of nations are in the same position. So what the organising committee and the International Paralympic Committee have done is they are pre-filming with all of the delegations within each of the villages. So we are very much partaking in that. It's a fantastic opportunity for a lot of our athletes who would never normally get the chance to be involved in an opening ceremony to actually have that involvement. So we won't be there in the stadium, but we will be there on the screens in the stadium and in people's TVs around the world. And I think we're really embracing that opportunity to be part of the opening ceremony that way.
Because the opening ceremony will see Russia and Belarusian athletes being involved as well for the first time because of the vote by the International Paralympic Committee.
Yeah, I mean, it was a vote by the International Paralympic Committee membership. We voted against Russia and Belarus being reintegrated into the Paralympic movement. We were vocal about that. But the membership voted to reinstate, and we have to recognise that and move on. But I think now we're here. We're about to start competition. Our focus is very much on our athletes and those guys going out and performing and making the nation proud.
And talking of your athletes, the curlers start a couple of days before. It's like the Olympics all over again. It starts 2 days before.
Absolutely. First time ever for us. Really exciting. I mean, it means that there's always that bit of time from when athletes arrive in the village, they get into their training schedules, and everybody's just hanging on, waiting for the sport to start. And I think we're actually really excited that we get to do it slightly differently this time. Like you say, like the excuse me, like the Olympic mixed doubles, they're out on ice before the opening ceremony, and it's a fantastic opportunity for Jo and Jason, our mixed doubles curlers, to get out there and start performing. Yeah, absolutely fantastic.
What do you look for in a flag bearer, Phil? And how does that process work in terms of choosing it? Is it your choice? Do the sports nominate people?
Yeah, it's again, this is one of the opportunities that the concept we're buying into this time allows us. So I think historically for a summer games, we've had athletes being nominated by their national governing bodies, by the sports, and then the athletes vote on who they want the flag bearers to be. If you look over recent winter vintages, because of the fact that we haven't had all of our athletes able to attend, we've had to do it in a slightly different way, and we've had some incredible flag bearers. But actually, for this games, we've been able to follow the same process that we do for the summers, because athletes have been nominated by their sports, and the selected athletes who will make up the Paralympics GB team here have been able to vote for who they want to be those flag bearers. And I think that's a really exciting moment, and it's allowed it to be opened up to athletes who might otherwise not have been at the opening ceremony.
And in terms of that selection of that athlete, I presume you're looking for someone that's obviously achieved on the field of play, but someone that buys into your Paralympics GB values as well.
Absolutely, and we're really lucky. We've got an awful lot of those in the team, and it's not an easy decision. But I think, yeah, historically, and certainly for this games as well, the opening ceremony is something where we want to absolutely recognise athletes who've performed for Paralympics GB, but as you say, have also displayed what it means to be a Paralympics GB team member throughout their career.
Phil, we're days away from the opening ceremony, as we say. The sport starts before that, but there is a lot going on in the world, and it feels very similar to 4 years ago. It's not the same, but 4 years ago, where Russia invaded Ukraine between the Olympics and the Paralympics, and then we saw at the weekend what's going on in the Middle East with the US and Israel. Firstly, what's the British Paralympic Association and Paralympics GB's view on what's going on in the world, and does that impact on the games?
I mean, we're obviously aware of what's going on around the world. We know that IPC are monitoring it very closely as well. And I think, as I said earlier, I think from our perspective, we're 2 days away from the sport starting, and our focus here, we're a sports team. I'm a leader of a sports team, and the focus that we have over the next 48 hours going into that first competition is to make sure that our athletes are absolutely ready for action, and that's where our focus is at the moment.
But is it frustrating that it always seems to overshadow the build-up to the Paralympics?
Yeah, obviously we would rather that everyone was just talking about the sport at this point, but we're also aware that there's very little we can do to influence that, other than try to make sure that when the sport starts, the eyes of certainly the sporting world are looking in our direction. And we know that we've got athletes who are going to make the world look in our direction and put down some incredible performances, hopefully putting in medal-winning performances that are making the nation proud. And that is all I think we can do at this point as a sporting team.
And are you being allowed to get on with your job as a sporting team without influences from elsewhere? Because I remember having these conversations 4 years ago. There was pressure potentially for you to pull out of those games. So here we are 2 days away. Are you being told just to 100% focus on what you're there to do?
Absolutely. That is our focus, and keeping any distractions away from the athletes and their support staff. We did that in Beijing 4 years ago, despite the conversations that were going on elsewhere around us. And again, that has to be our focus here now. These athletes have trained 4 years to be here. Many of them dedicated their life to be here, and we want the focus to be on them and their sporting performances, and us making sure that we keep any distraction away from them. So when they cross that line and they go out onto the ice, onto the snow, they are ready, prepared, and can go out there and deliver incredible performances for Paralympics GB.
Would you support your athletes if, when the time is right, they want to come out publicly and maybe make statements or say something about what is happening in the world right now?
Of course, everyone's entitled to do that, and we work really closely with all of our athletes to ensure that they have the ability to have a voice, but also that they do it in a way that, again, doesn't cause, hopefully, any distraction for them. There is one main reason that everybody is here. All of these athletes are here to go out and compete, to do their sport. And that is our focus, to ensure that they can do that, because if we can't do that as a sports team, we're not doing our job. So our focus remains on that. Yet, of course, if there are athletes who want to speak and want to say something, we will support them in that process. But our focus has to be on the field of play going forward.
Couple more questions, Phil, if I may. The medals target, we caught up, of course, in London a few weeks ago. The medal ambition, I should call it. I'll get told off for calling it a target. Slightly less than what we won in Beijing.
The ambition that was set by UK Sport was 2 to 5 medals. Obviously, in Beijing, we won 6. I think realistically, that's a reflective ambition, based on the fact that a number of the athletes that we know are in and around that medal zone have missed chunks of this cycle through injury or through a lack of competition opportunity. And so I think that's where that medal ambition was perhaps slightly tempered from previous cycles. But we're in a good place right now. Everybody's fit, everybody's here and raring to go. There is a lot of really positive talk within the team. You know, we saw during the Olympics, winter sport is unpredictable. There is an awful lot of jeopardy involved, and making any kind of prediction is really challenging. But we also saw during the Olympics that GB athletes are capable of not just performing, but dominating on snow and ice as well. And we have a number of athletes who are in that mix. So I can't sit here and tell you we are definitively going to win X number of medals, but I can tell you that we have got a really exciting team who are in really good shape and are ready to go out. And let's see what happens over the next 2 weeks.
And as we saw in the Olympics, you never know how anyone else is going to perform, because you could look at your own stats, but who knows what other teams really have the capability of doing.
Absolutely. We have athletes who have in the last few weeks, so since that medal ambition has been set, we've got a number of athletes who've been on World Cup podiums since then and really started to lay down a marker. So I think everyone is just focusing at the moment on their final preparation. We've had such positive vibes coming out of all of the final training camps. Everyone's arrived here in brilliant shape. I genuinely don't think we could have asked for anything more in terms of where our team are now. And now we hand over to what happens when sport happens, right? And we all love sport because you can't predict it and you don't know what's going to happen. But what I can predict and what I can say is that we're ready and we're really excited about what these games can hold for us.
Yeah, I think you probably covered most of it there. But my final question was, in this divided world that we are currently living in, what is your message to the British public in terms of following your athletes? Listen to the podcast every day, listen to the radio, maybe watch some of it on the TV. But what is your message to the public about this team and what they are hoping to achieve?
Exactly that. This is the first time in a long time that the Paralympic Winter Games have been on more or less our time zone. This is as close to a home games as we get. We've got a lot of friends, family, supporters in country. We know there's going to be Union flags flying everywhere, just like we saw during the Olympics. And we know there is coverage that people can watch. So from my perspective, if you loved watching the Olympics, this is coming and we are going to smash it. And we've seen that so many times. If you didn't love the Olympics, this is something different anyway. Come and watch Paralympics GB. Paralympic sport is incredible. It will bring you in and it will keep you there because it is just unbelievable sport. And first and foremost, that's what it is. It is world-class sport. And when you see what our team can do, I promise you, you will be enthralled, you will be drawn in, and you will want to come back for more. So please, everybody listening, support us. If you're back in the UK, shout at your TV, shout at the radio, support Paralympics GB, because we're ready and this is our time now. We cannot wait.
Good to catch up with Phil. He's in good mood, understandably. He said the weather wasn't quite as glorious in Cortina today as it has been, but you've been to Cortina, Michael, and it's a great place for a games.
Oh, I think it's going to be fantastic for the Paralympics. And I think, as Phil was saying there, apart from poor Scott Mina, who's out on his own, although we have identified that he has found a coffee shop because we know he likes his coffee. Apart from poor Scott Mina, the whole team are there based in Cortina. And that's different, obviously, to the Olympic Games where the athletes were spread out across various centres. So I think there will be a real team spirit, a real team environment there. And we heard, didn't we, from some of the Olympic athletes about what Eve Muirhead as chef de mission brought to that creation of that one team GB. And I think for Phil, who's obviously done this before and been a chef de mission before at the Paralympics, I think it will actually be sort of slightly easier for him to create that environment because the athletes and the support staff are all going to be there together in Cortina. And Cortina itself is not a big place. As I said, if you go to one of the larger Lake District towns like Kendal or Coniston, if you were to imagine that with snow-capped mountains around, that's what Cortina is like. It's not a big city. It's not a Paris, a Rio, a Tokyo. It's not even a Milan. It's nowhere close. It is more like an alpine town, which is what it is. So I just think it'll be a fantastic environment, fantastic location. And if the team can get a little bit of momentum, and we know there's athletes who will be in action from day one, I really do think that could then filter through the team and really be a performance advantage as well.
Lots of question marks over the opening ceremony in Verona. As we heard there, Great Britain won't be going anyway because it's nowhere near Cortina, where it's about 4 hours away, I think he said, where the opening ceremony will be taking place. But there are some nations, I think Finland are the latest to say that they may be boycotting that. We'll be interested to see how that pans out, what reception the Americans will get as well. We saw some reaction, of course, during the Olympics as well. So a lot of focus really on that opening ceremony on Friday.
Yeah, and I think from Phil's point of view, he laid it out there very well and obviously explained the background to the Paralympics GB decision. And as I think we found during the Olympics, what we often find during these big events is when people aren't given clear communication, when people aren't given the full, honest story, the facts, if you like, then that's when they start making up their own interpretation of events. And I think some people might see that there's no Team GB delegation in Verona and start making up the reasons behind that. But as we were hearing there from Phil, and hopefully he gets other opportunities to get that message out to people far and wide, that the reason that Great Britain aren't there is just a logistical one. And we know in both the Olympic Games and the Paralympic Games that despite all the political pressures that have been on teams, and, you know, you go back to Moscow 1980 and the Olympics there where, you know, government really didn't want the team to compete. We know that the British Olympic Association and now Paralympics GB, the British Paralympic Association, completely work independently of government and don't bow to government pressure. And they will go to these games and do their utmost, as Phil was saying there, just to ensure that as a sporting team, the team have everything that they need to compete to the best of their abilities.
We also know at that opening ceremony that all national flags will be carried and displayed, we understand, from the IPC, the International Paralympic Committee. They say to ensure consistency and fairness of representation for each delegation, each NPC's national flag will be carried by a volunteer. So there will be a flag bearer from a British point of view on the video that you heard Phil talking about, but there will be volunteers carrying every single flag. So that kind of keeps it quite neutral. An
interesting one, isn't it? Right, hands up if you want to carry the flag of Great Britain. Yeah, there'll be a few hands. Hands up if you want to carry the US flag. Hands up if you want to carry the Russian flag.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that could be problematic, couldn't it? But again, just the other thing that Phil obviously made clear in that interview was that as Great Britain, as Paralympics GB, voted against the return of Russian and Belarusian athletes, but the decision was made. That's the democracy, I guess, that the IPC will say. and the international federations, who ultimately kind of decided on which athletes would return and how that they would return to the games. And that return is that they will be competing under the flags of Belarus and Russia. Great Britain were against it, but they've accepted it.
This is Milano Daily. We have the return of TNT, tomorrow's news today, plus our news from the games, because we cover the Olympics and Paralympics all the time, not once every 4 years. That's coming next.
Nothing brings people together quite like Team USA at the Olympic Winter Games. From NBC Universal's iconic storytelling to the innovative technology across Xfinity and Peacock, Comcast brings the Olympic Games home to America, sharing every moment with millions. When Team USA steps onto the world stage, people aren't just watching, they're cheering together. This winter, everyone is all on the same team. Comcast, proud partner of Team USA.
This is Milano Daily from Anything But Footy, and tomorrow's news today. We look ahead to the sporting action that gets underway a couple of days before the opening ceremony, because wheelchair curling has been a favourite in the Winter Paralympics since Turin in 2006, and now it's back in Italy at the Cortina Curling Centre somewhere. Of course, we know very well from the Olympics. I've been watching that, and Michael's been there as well. But new to these games is the mixed doubles event that has been added to the wheelchair curling programme to complement the traditional mixed team format.
So, a little bit of a reminder for you. Unlike the curling that we watched at the Olympic Games, wheelchair curling, there's no sweeping on the ice. So what they do is they directly slide their stones towards the target, either by hand or by using delivery sticks. Teammates can also choose to hold each other's wheelchairs for greater stability, or players can also choose to throw the stone alone. So Jo Butterfield and Jason Kean will become the first British athletes to take part in the new event of wheelchair curling mixed doubles at the Paralympic Winter Games. Jo is aiming to make history by becoming the first ever British athlete to win a gold medal at both the Winter and the Summer Paralympic Games. She won the gold in athletics in Rio in 2016 in the club throw event. We will hear from her in a moment. But first of all, I've been speaking to a very proud Geordie, Jason Kean, on his Paralympic debut and journey to get there.
I was injured in September 21 in a motorcycle accident where I broke my back and ended up in a spinal unit in Middlesbrough. I was there for 5 months, and I ended up bumping into a friend of Stuart Pimblett, who asked us to come along wheelchair curling. I agreed, but came out of hospital in February of 22. Ended up in a pretty dark place, to be honest, with depression after basically losing me previous life, the business and everything like that went with it. So ended up with an infection and ended up in the Freeman Hospital in Newcastle, which was 50 miles away from the spinal injuries unit. Ended up bumping into the same lad again, and he then rang Stuart, and he was like, look, he wants to come and do a bit of wheelchair curling. Stuart, being one of them guys, doesn't like to take no for an answer, and started club curling. First competition was in November of 22. Got a 4th place in the national pairs. Second competition was the January of 23, which was the British Open. Managed to get 2nd place in that. Then got 2nd place in the Scottish Open, which was a couple of months after that in 23. And then got scouted for England by the Tony and Rosemary Lenton in the June of 23. They asked us to come out and try out for England. And I ended up signing for England in the August, I think, of 23, and made my international debut in the November of 23 at the World B Wheelchair Curling Championships. Then we didn't do so well in 23, but we're a new team. But by November of 24, we got the bronze medal, which then gave with a pathway to the World Championships this year, against all of the top teams in the world, China, Canada, USA. It was just unbelievable. So in the March, so we came mid-table, which, to be honest, we would getting a few tough results and a few well-deserved losses, but we won 5, lost 6, which put us mid-table, which then gave us the call from Sheila Swan from GB, and that got us in for the Paralympic selection in the May. So came back in the July, August time, back end of July, worked my backside off and got the call on the 10th of December to say that I'd made the selection process for the mixed doubles with me and Jo Butterfield. So would you like to represent Great Britain? And it was like, yes, please, thank you very much. And that's a bit of a whirlwind, to be honest.
And Newcastle have had a bit of success on the football pitch recently. League Cup winners this year. Can you match that success? Bring a bit more silverware back to Tyneside?
Well, I would like to bring some gold back to Tyneside. That is the plan. We've had some good successes, We've had a third place, a fourth place, and then in Riga in the International Mixed Doubles Championship, there's quite a few teams who managed to get first place in that. So going out to the games, we're definitely not there to take part. We're there to take over, should I say? But people say don't get too complacent, but I really am there to win. I'm not just there to take part. I really, really do think that me and Jo can do really well out there, and bring something back to Newcastle, and hopefully it's the gold variety,
What does curling bring to you? What you talked obviously about having some dark times and then discovering this sport. I'm looking at you now. You've got a big smile on your face. I know that's not everything, but what does the sport bring to you?
Oh, it's my life now. So it sounds probably a little bit weird. Like, family's always number one, but curling's pretty much took over it. From where I was a few years ago to where I am now, it sounds like, I'll be deadly honest, it was pretty much close to not wanting to be here anymore. In the dark times, and meeting everyone in curling and getting involved in the sport. I would massively like to promote it to anyone that's got a disability, because the lads and lasses have showed us how to live a life in a wheelchair. The sport itself's proven to us that I can do anything I want within the chair. This year alone, I've travelled around. If you think about it, I've done Switzerland, then into Scotland, then out to Estonia, then out to Latvia, then out to Sweden. And that was all in a matter of 6 months. So it was 5 different countries, 6 different airports, 10, 12 different flights. It's mental, So the sport itself has massively changed my life, and it's proved to me as well that my life is worth something. And it's also proved as well that I can do anything that I want. It's just a little bit different, but we are still the same people that we always were. Just my legs don't work anymore, So no, it's been a massive improvement to my life, and now my life's like, it gives me everything to get up for in the morning. It's brilliant.
Well, Newcastle better dust off that open top bus for you.
Get in, I would love that. That would be mint.
Fantastic. Thanks very much, Dave. Lovely to chat, and we'll be following very closely.
Thanks very much, mate. I appreciate your time.
Oh, I'm not going to lie, it's huge. I did have a wonder whether third time round it would almost get a bit dull, but it doesn't. This feeling does not grow dim. I am super excited, and I think that the chance to do a summer and a winter games is not one that many people get, and it really is phenomenal.
And you've obviously got this thing that everyone is talking about today, that you could make history. First British parathlete to win a gold at the Summer Games and the Winter Games.
Yeah, I mean, that was my goal when I first transferred in September 22 to curling. It was the goal I set myself, to try and be the first to get gold in summer and winter. And now feels like it's possible. That selection means that I've got a chance to do it, and it's super exciting.
What was your reasoning? What was your thinking behind the switch?
A few things, really. So, I think whenever I started competing full stop, I always thought it'd be pretty cool to be able to experience a summer and a winter, and just the feelings of what both would be like. But in my athletics journey, my event was taken out of the program for the Paralympics. So I competed in Rio and Tokyo, but when it came to Paris, the event was taken out. I wasn't ready to stop. I still felt like I had something to give, and from an athlete point of view. So I looked at curling and transferred, and they've been really opened their arms up to me and given me an opportunity to do something.
How do you look back on your summer Paralympic career? I was in Rio, and I know that there were huge challenges about getting those games on, and then obviously we know about challenges in Tokyo as well. But you've got the medal. I mean, what do you reflect on it?
I think the beauty of Paralympics GB is that they keep you quite hidden from the challenges. We were aware that there were challenges in Rio and things not being ready. I'm sure the message was that Tokyo was more ready at the time of the Rio Paralympic Games than Rio was, but we didn't feel that. I remember Rio as very exciting, super organised. Everyone was in the right place at the right time and loved it. So I think Paralympics GB do an amazing job to keep us sheltered. And I think that's the same with Cortina. Cortina is a traditional skiing place. It's probably not the most practical for wheelchairs. It's not the most practical place. It looks stunning. And I am absolutely confident that Paralympics GB will make it as special as Rio was.
What does it mean to you when you pull the kit on and you're representing your country?
It means everything. It really does. Like the first day you get to see some of the kits, well, everyone's excited. Like I remember that first time, and it still feels like that now. The kit it's lovely. Let's face it. Like it's made really well. It looks really good. But being able to see that flag and knowing that you're representing your country, it's what we work for every day. We work really hard for a whole cycle, and you've made it. You've got that. You've achieved that selection, and it's just about going out there and doing your best at the time.
And you're pretty unique. You're representing Paralympics GB, Great Britain and Northern Ireland. You represent, or you curl for Scotland, but you're also representing Yorkshire.
Yes, that's right. I've always said that if I could compete for Yorkshire, I probably would do. Sadly, we don't have a World Championship for Yorkshire, or they don't count, although they would do pretty well on the medal, as we often look. But yeah, I'm a proud Yorkshire woman. I really am. But I've lived in Scotland most of my life, and I'm very proud to compete for Scotland. It's my home. It's my hometown, and it feels like home. And I think bringing it together in a Paralympic year is great because you compete for Great Britain. So we do have a bit of rivalry between the English team, or the English people in the team, and the Scottish people in the team. And I probably sit in the middle and overlap the two and choose which side I want when I want to. But yeah, it's all about Great Britain this year.
And what would it mean to you? You kind of talked obviously about you had that history in mind, but what would it mean to you to go and win that medal?
Oh, it's everything we've been working for. Like since starting sport, I had a dream to be the best that I can, to go out there and make history and be the only person that's ever done it. It really would be the world to me. It would mean the world to me. I believe that me and Jay have got a really good partnership. We've worked really well this year, and it's clicked to being a really good team. And we've got an opportunity, a real big opportunity to make it work. So we just want to make sure we go out there and give our best.
Jo Butterfield, and before that, Jason Kean, the mixed doubles team for Paralympics GB. And they're in action. Put this in your diary. 6:05 against Estonia Wednesday night. So the action starts Wednesday night, 6:05 UK time. Then they have a double header on Thursday. They play Korea at 9:05 in the morning on Thursday this week. That's March 5th. And then Latvia at 6:05 in the evening on Thursday night. And before the opening ceremony in Verona, which we know they're not going to, but they will be in action in Cortina on Friday morning, 6th of March. It's Great Britain against the USA at 8:05.
So Japan are the reigning world champions from 2025. They beat Scotland in the final. Korea and Latvia also have won that title in the past few years. So they are all ones to watch. The medals for the mixed doubles won't be awarded until Wednesday, March the 11th. The mixed team event, well, that begins on day one of the games. So that is Saturday, the 7th of March. And we will have more on that and be hearing from some of the team members later on in the week right here on Milano Daily.
Now, some other news from the games and a question on Spotify since our last episode, Michael, from a listener saying, do you reckon there's any feasible way in the future that Great Britain, specifically Scotland at that, could bid to host a Winter Olympics? Now, Michael, you have been out in Milan and Cortina. You went out into the snow as well. I was in Milan. It's a big city. The likes of Glasgow, Edinburgh, there are probably facilities for some of the sporting events. What about a Winter Olympics in Scotland?
Do you know what? This thought actually crossed my mind when I was out in Italy as well. Could Great Britain host a Winter Olympics? I think the first thing to say is there's probably not a desire to host a Winter Olympics. I don't think, whereas the Summer Games is something, a prize that lots of cities, lots of regions, I think, still aspire to host, because certainly we've seen, haven't we, the momentum with this North of England potential bid for an Olympic Games. It will unlock a lot of infrastructure and investment and regeneration money. The Winter Games doesn't provide that same opportunity, I don't think. So I don't think there's the appetite, first and foremost. And I think to host a Olympics, whether it's Summer or Winter Olympics, you would need government buy-in, you would need government undertaking and underwriting of the finances, you'd need UK sport, obviously, you'd need the Scottish government, and I just don't think there's the appetite with any of those. So that probably stunts any opportunity.
You've answered the question
at the start. That said, in this fantasy world that we might want to live in to get away from the real world right now, and let's be honest, that fantasy world feels sort of quite compelling away from the real world right now. Could Scotland host it? They would have to do a Beijing style model in terms of the snow and the alpine events. They would have to obviously make that snow and bring it in. I don't think we could guarantee that we would have enough snow in Aviemore to do it.
I was going to say, even Aviemore or something, because it would be a split games. You'd have Glasgow and Edinburgh for the arenas, but actually in Aviemore, Inverness, that kind of right at the top of the country, they have enough snow, but it depends on whether it arrives in time and whether, etc., etc.
And the Aviemore's not the Alps, is it? No. I mean, when you're looking at downhills and Super Gs and all the rest of it, the Alps offers ample opportunities. Aviemore is, in comparison, shall we say, more nursery slopes. Okay. We don't have a sliding centre in the country. We would need to build a sliding centre
track, for
bobsleigh, luge, and skeleton, obviously, which is an expensive undertaking. You are right in saying that figure skating, ice hockey, speed skating, probably curling could take place in arenas in terms of across Edinburgh and Glasgow. I think you could then sort of build a Lavinio style snow park where you've got the likes of the Big Air and the Half Pipe as temporary facilities. But again, you would need to bring the snow and ice into that. It's a pipe dream. It's a half pipe dream. But if they could stage a Winter Games in Saudi Arabia, which is what they were planning to do up to relatively recently, and that idea has now gone even before the events of the last few days. They never say never, but I will always just go back to that point. I don't think there is the appetite, and certainly I don't think there's the finances in this country at the moment to take that on.
Thank you for the question via Spotify. If you ever want to ask us anything for our opinions or anything along those lines, love to hear from you via the usual ways. Now, in other news, away from the winters, Birmingham 2026 is getting bigger. Additional seating structures will be installed, have announced, at the Alexander Stadium this summer, allowing more fans to watch Europe's finest athletes in action in the UK for the very first time. Of course, it's the first time that the European Championships have ever taken place in the UK. Tickets for all sessions are going back on sale this week, including the high demand weekend evening sessions as well.
Yeah, let's maybe concentrate on some events that we know we can host. We have the facilities to host, and we will host very well. And that will come shortly after the Commonwealth Games, of course, in Glasgow. And I think we're going to get some ticket news on that coming up very shortly as well. So keep listening. Meanwhile, staying with track and field, Georgia Hunter-Bell is set to win a 1,500 metres silver medal now from last year's World Athletics Indoor Championships. It comes as the Ethiopian middle distance runner Welteji faces a 2-year ban for an anti-doping rule violation. The decision has been made at the Court of Arbitration for Sport. Britain's Georgia Hunter-Bell now set to be upgraded from the bronze that she won on the day to the silver. That will add to her Olympic 1,500 metre bronze and her World Outdoor 800 metres silver. Australia's Georgia Griffith, who was fourth in Nanjing last year, will move into that bronze medal position. I watched a video on Instagram from Georgia talking about this, and I thought she spoke really well, actually, because she was saying that she's still got her podium moment, albeit she got the bronze and now she will get the silver. But she still got that moment. She still knew that she'd won a medal. She still saw the flag and she still enjoyed all the attention that comes with being a medalist at that World Indoor Championships. One of those bits of attention, of course, was having a conversation with me on her way to anti-doping, which you might recall we had at the time. But she also expressed a great deal of sympathy for Australia's Georgia Griffith, because Georgia didn't get that. The Australian Georgia finished fourth, fantastic result, fourth in the world, but would have walked off the track knowing that she was not going to get interviewed by as many people that would want to interview her because she hadn't won a medal, and she would go and do her anti-doping, but she wouldn't get the podium moment. She wouldn't get to walk around the track with an Australian flag on her back. She has missed all of that. And whilst they will obviously choose a moment and a championships to reallocate that medal, and hopefully she'll get a little bit of that, you do really miss out at the time, don't you? And I think I have a great deal of sympathy for these athletes.
And it was her first elite international medal as well, first world-class medal for Georgia Griffith as well. And you say she's not had that moment. She's never going to be able to recreate that moment. And that is what drugs cheats do to the sport, which is why we are very against them. Thank you for your support during the Olympics. Listening was up 500% last month to the Anything But Footy podcast. We will be covering the Milano Cortina Paralympics as well. We'll be here every day bringing you the details, the latest news on our socials. The website is there if you want to get in touch, as is Spotify as well. This is Milano Daily from Anything But Footy.